As you are probably aware, there is a audit of ballots from the 2020 election going on in Maricopa County, Arizona. And I'm here to talk about the completion of that audit at the physical level and what comes next. By the completion of the physical level of that audit, that means they are done with their hand recount and visual analysis of these ballots. Now the task begins to compile and analyze the data that they have and then produce a series of reports, with some preliminary reports hopefully coming out very soon, maybe even this week, and some finalized reports coming out in the near future. It's important to note from the outset that the people who have ordered this election, the GOP Senate in Arizona, have stated that this audit is not intended to overturn or influence the 2020 election results. There are many people who believe that this will happen. I want to report that that is not the stated intention of the audit, and I am not currently aware of any existing legal mechanisms by which this could take place. Nevertheless, this has become a lightning rod of attention on the left and the right, with the left stating that this audit serves to undermine election integrity. A lot of people are questioning how that could happen, but I guess that's what the narrative is on that side, while people on the right are suggesting that this audit is intended to ensure election integrity and to identify any potential gaps or leaks that existed in 2020 to bring that back to the state legislature so they can create appropriate rules and legislation to plug those gaps and ensure election integrity going forward. That is kind of the stated intentions of everyone. And sure, there are people out there with various beliefs about how this thing could ultimately turn out, but we're not here to speculate on people's individual beliefs. That's for them to hold, and we're not dealing with that. We're just dealing with the stated official purposes of this election audit. That being said, now that the physical phase is complete, there's a whole bunch of questions as to what results we will get, and we will be talking about those as those reports are released. For today, there's some other implications that have been going on, and I believe that these implications, as reported, are going actually straight to some of the battleground narrative over this particular audit, and that's what we're talking about today. I'm Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. I'm a lawyer. I'm also a legal and political commentator on YouTube and on Odyssey. Wherever you're watching, hit like, hit subscribe. Go ahead and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any videos. All right, let's get into it. I've got an article here. It's from the Washington Post. It'll be linked down in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. We're going to grab some key ideas, and this is around the voting machines that were used and their upcoming disposition following the audit. I personally believe these voting machines have become a political tool that are being weaponized in the argument over the audit proper, and that is because the person who is kind of in charge of Arizona's elections at the administrative level, the Secretary of State, hates this audit, has been against it from day one, has been out blasting the audit at every single opportunity. And so now that she is out there saying that they're going to have to retire these machines and in effect punish the voters of Arizona for daring to conduct a review of the election results, because of that punishment, I think this is quite obviously weaponization of this tool. But let's check out the article. Arizona's Maricopa County will replace voting equipment, fearful that GOP-backed election review has compromised security. Arizona's Maricopa County announced Monday that it will replace voting equipment that was turned over to a private contractor for Republican Commission review of the 2020 presidential election, concerned that the process compromised the security of the machines. Officials from Maricopa, the state's largest county and home to Phoenix, provided no estimates of the costs involved, but have previously said the machines cost millions to acquire. Interestingly, I believe they're actually being leased on a 3-year lease for $2.1 million. So I'm not sure where the no information is on this one, But this is a 3-year lease. They're a year and a half into it. It's $2.1 million. Since the machines are leased, you would think that they could just be returned to the company that they leased them from. That company could supply different machines to Arizona, and then they could perform whatever maintenance or operation they needed to go ahead and clean up whatever nefarious things the auditors may have done to compromise the new machines, right? Like, to me, that seems like an obvious problem. It's like buying a computer from eBay. You go, you buy the computer, you get it, you take that hard drive and you throw it right in the fireplace and get out a flamethrower and put that thing to pasture because you don't know what information, whatever previous creep may have had on that thing. That's legal advice. Don't ever use a hard drive from eBay. That being said, you just replace the parts that need to be replaced and you go ahead and utilize the remaining parts that are good, and you're fine. You take care of the data issues on the machine, and then the machine should function properly. But that's just me. What do I know? I'm just a guy. The voters of Maricopa County can rest assured the county will never use equipment that could pose a risk to free and fair elections, the county said in a statement, which I think might sound kind of funny to the voters of Maricopa County who have asked for this audit and suggest that the very machines that they use pose a risk to free and fair elections. That's just a little bit of irony for me. As a result, the county will not use the subpoenaed equipment in any future elections. The announcement probably reflects an added cost to taxpayers for a controversial review. Notice all the probablys and the qualifications here. They have no idea. They haven't seen the lease agreement between Dominion and Maricopa County or Smartmatic, whichever company actually leased the machines to Maricopa County. We don't actually have the information from the lease agreement. It may actually allow for an exchange of equipment in case of audit issues, compromise of security, or whatever at minimal to no cost. This is entirely speculative, and that is my point. This is being weaponized. It's used as a threat and a bludgeon to make the people who want to verify the results of the election independently into bad people. This has been a consistent theme and narrative around the election since before it even took place. And of course, by now, I'm sure you're aware of the Time Magazine article talking about the entire plan to control the narrative on the election starting way back in 2019. But if you're not, I've done a video on it and you can check it out. That being said, this is being used just as a sledgehammer in the political rhetoric debate and nothing more. Until we get some hard numbers on real costs to Arizona on this thing, these articles just serve as a sort of buffer, giving the left the narrative that they want around this election audit. And the narrative that they want is that audit bad. That's it. If that's not obvious by now, I don't know how to help you. Let's see. So we've got the review was ordered by the Republican-led Senate, which seized voting equipment, including 9 tabulating machines used at a central counting facility and 385 precinct-based tabulators, as well as nearly 2.1 million ballots from Maricopa County with a legislative subpoena in late April. The review is being led by a Florida company called Cyber Ninjas, whose chief executive has echoed Trump's false claims. Audit organizers have said that they have completed a hand recount, but they will not release the results from their review until August. So that's interesting. I do wonder if a preliminary report will come out before that, but we'll see. Looks like we have about a month to go. Spokesman for the audit and for Senate President Karen Fann, who ordered the review, did not immediately respond to requests for comments about the announcement. The process being used to recount ballots and examine voting machines, conducted on the floor of a former basketball arena in Phoenix and live streamed exclusively using cameras operated by the pro-Trump One American News, has been widely panned by election experts as sloppy, insecure, and opaque. And let's just get down to the root issue here. Everybody conducting this audit has also called the actual conduct of the election to be sloppy, insecure, and opaque. And this is reflected in dozens upon dozens of election lawsuits brought in every single state in this country, just about. That being said, that does not mean that all of the lawsuits or even any of them have validity, and they don't have to. They don't have to for the purposes of people expressing legitimate concerns. Just because you don't have a valid legal claim does not mean that you don't have a valid expression of genuine concern on an issue. If that were the case, everything would be settled all the time, ultimately by a court case, and there would be no questioning of it afterwards. But that's not how reality works, and it's certainly not how the legal process was designed to function. The legal process is specifically limited to legal remedies that the court can grant. If you have remedies that the court cannot grant, that doesn't mean that the underlying concern is invalid. It just means that the court has no power to act upon it. And many people think that the courts abdicated their responsibilities in the wake of the 2020 election. And these are some of the remedies that they're looking for going forward, not necessarily looking back, looking to plug gaps that may exist in 2022 and 2024. That being said, I think it's pretty obvious that this ballot recount machine news story is being weaponized, and you can see it all over the mainstream media right now, how they are talking about this thing as if this is a massive detriment to Arizona voters, and everything is going into the toilet because of this audit, which just shows me that this thing maybe was necessary. And I am anxious to see how it pans out. What do you guys think about the machines and them being decommissioned and them having to procure a new machines? I guess they're still under lease. They're going to probably just issue new machines under the lease or renew the lease or whatever it is, maybe at a minor additional cost. You tack on an extra year. That's good for a vendor in a lease agreement. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, drop a comment down below. I would love to hear what you think. And until next time, thanks for watching. Peace. Peace.